Hey everybody, thank you so much for submitting all your questions. I'm super excited to answer them. I want to get started with the first question, which is what is your favorite parrot and macaw? Favorite macaw? I really think scarlet macaws are really interesting and cool. I don't want to keep one in my house or as a pet, but I really think they have some super interesting behaviors. I think they're incredible flyers. I think the social dynamics are really fun. I think if I had to pick a favorite, maybe military macaws. I really like them. They're not for everybody. I would venture to say maybe not even a great pet option, but I think they're super neat and kind of a little gregarious, and I like the size of them too. They're not humongous. I really enjoyed getting to know Callie. She's a Milligold macaw, so she's half blue and gold, half military macaw, and her story is over on Patreon if you want to check it out. But I've gotten to see little glimpses of that military personality that I really like kind of layered in there with the blue and gold, and that's been really, really cool. So I think if I had to pick a favorite macaw, it would be a military macaw. Parrot in general, man, I guess it depends on like just a parrot that I'm interested in and like to know a lot about, or if it's one I would keep as a pet. I think gang cockatoos are cool. I'd like to know more about them. We don't have a ton of them here in the US. Let me think. I think Vasa parrots are really cool and interesting. They have some weird sort of differences that I think would be cool to learn about. I really like palm cockatoos, black palm cockatoos. None of those I think would make great pets, and or do I want them as pets, but I think they're cool parrots and I like learning about them. Next question. Hi, I was just wondering what is the best thing to do when I first bring my new Eclectus parrot home? I would love all the information you can give and love the channel. Thanks so much for the great tips you give viewers. You're so welcome. Thanks for watching. First, best tip would be Eckies need a special kind of diet, so make sure you know what that is. I would love to have a consult with you. Our other consultants would love to talk with you about the best next steps for bringing your Eckie home. We can set you up for success with what's unique to your home. I would say plan for as big of a cage as you absolutely can, because that parrot needs a home that is not your entire home, a place that it can exercise and have enrichment and things like that. If you can do an aviary, I totally would. I think caging is something that is really not focused enough on the front end, because the cost of the bird is so high and setup and everything is so much that people kind of just get like the minimum. They always want to know like what's the smallest size cage or what's the recommended cage size for these birds. And we always say it's the biggest that you can afford and house, or can afford and have room for. So that would be something that I would say is a super priority. I would definitely get some toys for the new little one. And I would also hook up with a trainer so that you know how to start things right from the beginning and that you're doing everything super permission-based and setting yourself up for success, because Eckies can be pretty challenging and they have some unique issues just to them, but a really great trainer or consultant will be able to help you all along the way. What was your first bird and when did you start actually training them? Well, because every time you're interacting with a bird, you are training them or they are training you. I started training birds when I was 6 years old, when we had budgies. And shortly after that, I also had doves. And those were kind of my first two intros into birds. And they trained me really well, and I started training them right away. I had the budgies. I was a little nervous stepping them up on my hand, and so I had like little gloves that I would wear as a kid, and I would kind of practice asking them to step up and things, and I learned that obviously like stepping up for a treat worked a lot better for taming these budgies than just kind of forcing them onto my hand would. And so I kind of started playing around with the treats and asking them to do different things, and they are super smart, and it was really, really cool for me to kind of, without the framework of formal knowledge about operant conditioning, to kind of learn those things. And my kids have even demonstrated that kids do a really great job respecting the consequences of animals and things like that, and learning from them as they teach us and train us, really. Okay, not bird related. I understand if this one is skipped over, but I saw in your bio that you have experience with reptiles as well. Yeah, we're also reptile people and horse people. Kim, oh, Kim's gonna love you. What type of reptiles do you keep, if any? We have 5 horses, 8 different species of reptiles, and a Kaik parrot. Aw, we should have a group consult with you, me, and Kim and talk about reptiles and horses and parrots and all sorts of things. Yeah, I do keep reptiles. I've actually kept way more reptiles than I have parrots, but that is just because it's easier to keep a lot of reptiles, and I don't stack parrots on top of each other quite as well as reptiles are able to be housed. in multiples often. Currently, I don't have that many reptiles. I have a ornate Uromastyx and I have a radiated tortoise, and they are really awesome, super kid-friendly pets and live in their own bioactive enclosures. One of them, the tortoise, actually stays outside most of the time in his own little enclosure. He's a baby. And then the Uromastyx has like an indoor enclosure, which is really awesome. I've thought about playing around with an outdoor enclosure in the summertime for him here because it does get hot enough, and I think I could do something really, really cool. And he's big enough now that I think I can make it work. But yeah, no, reptiles are a big passion of mine, along with birds, and I do use permission-based training with the reptiles, which is really cool. If y'all would like more information on permission-based training with reptiles, let us know. That could be a cool, like, little side tangent we could do maybe like over on Patreon or something like that. Alrighty, what is the number one issue parrot owners seek help with in consultations? What is the most challenging part of doing consultations? What is the most rewarding part? Oh, if I had to pick number one issue, well, this isn't going to be the answer you want, but it's just behavior that they feel like they can't manage or can't live with anymore. That's the number one. It feels like if I had to pick one big category, that's kind of the number one area. But usually that looks like a few things. It looks like aggression. It looks like excessive screaming. A kind of big one right now, things kind of come in themes too. Another big one right now is just birds that are not tame, like just taming birds, like having a bird that you can't handle and it doesn't want anything to do with you and it's scared of you or scared of a lot of things. That's been a big category lately. The most challenging part of doing a consultation is really that I find that there's so much value in in-person training with both with a bird and with a human. That's why I love the master classes. I love in-home consultations. And so it is challenging to initially to find the flow with a new client on here's how we handle, to do all of that virtually and to do it in the time constraint of 30 minutes can be really, really hard, but it works really well. And the people that need longer usually book an hour with me. And most of my clients are repeats. So they'll come see me once and we come up with a game plan and we come up with a strategy of how often to meet with them. But then there are clients that are just one and done, that have a few questions, that need a little tinkering, and then they come back and send me an email a few weeks later saying everything's going well, and then that's all we ever meet. But I love the ones that do come back and the ones that update me on how things are going, because it obviously continues to help us grow as a company in the way that we're providing care for our clients and their birds. Okay, what are some pieces of advice that you often give but don't follow? Ooh, that's interesting. Now, I'll say this. I usually am trying to give advice and counsel based on what I would do given their set of circumstances and that bird. So something that I kind of do that's unusual that I might not advise other people to do, but it's because of my unique set of circumstances and my bird, is that often Callie will spend the night outside and she won't get 12 hours of sleep. The reason behind that is super strategic though, and it's not something I would ever recommend doing. I'm trying to get away from it myself, but she's so cage aversive, and her story's over on Patreon. You can go see like how that all started. She lived cageless in her previous home and she's kind of aversive to cages. And so I don't want to take the relational hit of forcing her into a nighttime cage. I'd rather build over time and that be like a super permission-based thing that we're doing. So often if my choice is non-permission-based, but get her 12 hours of sleep, or permission-based, but let her sleep outside in the aviary where she's not getting 12 hours of sleep, I'm choosing permission-based and letting her not get her 12 hours of sleep. So I'm doing it with intention to move away from that though, because it is important and she is hormonal and that is problematic. That is one piece of advice that I don't follow that sort of comes to mind, but I'm doing it with the intention of getting back to the advice that I would follow. And I often do try in all cases to give advice to the people that are asking it of me, of what I would do if I was in their situation with whatever their constraints are. Everybody has different types of constraints that they have to work within, and with that particular bird. So sometimes the general advice given may not apply to your specific bird. And if you're in a position where you're trying something, and it's not working, and it just doesn't feel like the pieces are really fitting, that's a good opportunity to reach out for some like customized care and a customized plan for your bird. Because there are things kind of like with Callie where it's like, just 12 hours of sleep wouldn't have worked and would have done so much damage in our relationship early on. Whereas I know I can build up to that in a way that's preserving our relationship and ultimately going to get her 12 hours of sleep for health. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you guys have interesting circumstances that you don't feel like the general advice is quite fitting. That's why we do in-home consultations, and that's why we do virtual consultations. Also, tips on how to get a conure to stop ripping off a whole ball of millet versus nicely taking a few seeds. Still working on getting him to like other nuts and seeds. It is really hard. Millet is difficult for that reason. You can hold it far enough away that he just can nibble just a little bit and has to like really, really lean in to get it. But it's a challenge because if they grab it, you need to let them have it and you don't want to tug a war battle. A nice way to get them to like other types of nuts and seeds is maybe just to offer them in their bowl every day. Like just put 1 or 2 in their bowl with their food and just kind of let them get a taste for it. And eventually if you drop them in after the food's already in there and you drop them in, you see them kind of race over and grab that treat. Maybe take a note of what treat that was and what kind of treat that was and that they've acquired a taste for it. Maybe start trying to train with something a little bit different, because it is easier to give just pieces of things like pine nut or safflower seed than it is to like give the whole spray millet and have them sort of nibble. And they do. It takes a while and then each rep takes a long time, so I totally get it. What are the best treats to use for my parrotlet when training? Well, we just talked about millet, and it is probably millet. Millet's such a popular one. Safflower seeds, maybe, something like that. Try like little pieces of pine nut, little pieces of sunflower seed, things like that, like hemp seed. Blueberry seed mix actually would be kind of a cool thing to use if they kind of like the little sprinkling of it. But millet, it would be spray millet. That would be my choice. And usually is a good go-to for sure. Is it possible to target and trick train a chicken? Sorry for the dumb question, but I genuinely want to know. There are no dumb questions. Yes, actually, I worked with some of my friends' chickens the other day. Earlier in the summer, I took my kids over there. Maybe that's something we'll throw out on Patreon at some point. It was kind of a fun video. We tried some things. And we were training their chickens like to station and just basically teaching them that they like go near a traffic cone area, like kind of, or there's like a soccer little orange cone disc. And each time they went over and touched it, they got some food thrown at them. And they learned it really, really quickly. And yes, so absolutely, you can target train a chicken, you can target train reptiles, you can target train a lot of things. It's actually a really, really common training technique. It just takes some extra time. Parrots just pick up on things really quickly and problem solve really quickly. Foraging is really cool for chickens. Like if you're looking for like an enrichment thing for chickens, they forage real well and that's super fun to do for them. But yeah, trick training, you can do it too. Again, a little harder in terms of you need to make it super simple tasks that they can understand and kind of chain those things together. But I would love to work with someone with a chicken. So call me and let's do some chicken training together. Okay, how can I get my 43-year-old umbrella cockatoo to change diets? When I inherited her, she was on a sunflower seed diet, and I've tried to get her on a healthier diet, but she just refuses to eat. This is kind of a cool question because our entire diet conversion course is centered around an umbrella cockatoo named Blizz. And this would be an amazing thing to go get. So with the purchase of any of our food products, or the cookbook, you get a diet conversion course. And also you get it with a purchase of a consultation too. What I generally tell people is I would find something that your bird eats now and incorporate it into the chop with some type of binder, usually sweet potato or hard-boiled egg, kind of mashed up and cooled off, nothing warm here, but our chop recipes are good for this. And then you incorporate, so if it's sunflower seeds, you crush up those sunflower seeds, preferably without the shell, and you mix however many sunflower seeds you need to into that mixture so that the bird recognizes it as food. And eventually, or at first, they'll just start picking out the sunflower seeds, but then eventually they'll kind of get other stuff in there with it too, because that sweet potato and egg kind of make everything stick together. And then you can slowly back out the sunflower seeds over time, and then you can slowly back out the binder, either the sweet potato or the egg over time, and you're left with just the chop. Now, the way that I would go about pellets is I'd probably use birdie bread, and I'd probably do the same thing. I would take something that the bird really likes. If it's sunflower seeds, it's sunflower seeds, and incorporate that into the birdie bread, and then slowly back it out over time, and then slowly make the birdie bread chunkier with like more whole pellets in it, and then crumble it up, and then add some fresh pellets on top, and eventually the bird will diet convert. It's important to think about diet conversion in like weeks and months and not days and meals, because people often will try things 1 or 2 times and then kind of panic. But I remember you can include the old food in it, just use it strategically so that they're not just picking things out, but they're kind of having to work around the new stuff. Birds don't naturally eat things that they don't recognize. And so it's important to give them something that they do, but then they're kind of acquiring the taste because they have to, because it's all around it and stuck to it, of the new stuff, and realizing that it's safe food and it's good to eat. And then they kind of will eventually start experimenting and doing more and more. So if you have questions about that, I would definitely check out the diet conversion course, because it is literally about an umbrella cockatoo, or book a consult with one of us. Kim is a diet conversion queen. She is so, so, so good at it, and she loves it, and she's super passionate about it, and I'm sure she would love to talk to you. Okay, my African gray, 1.2 years old, hates sprays and showers, runs away. I've had him 2 months now. Stepping up is coming along. Head scratching is a must every day. But bath, what to do? People really prioritize baths, which I'm glad that they do. Birds should bathe. I, though, would prefer not to force a bird into bath. Like, it's not so important initially that you need to force it into bathing and make it hate bathing. Take the spray bottle and point it really, really far away, like totally 180 degrees behind you, away from the bird. Spray and give a treat. Spray and give a treat. You need that spray bottle as far away as you can so that just the noise becomes a cue for a treat. Then once the bird hears the noise and anticipates the treat and is kind of engaging in this process, you'll slowly move it closer and closer this way. Spray, give a treat. Spray, give a treat. And over time, and this may take several sessions, you will be in a position where the bird is here and the spray is sort of happening in this direction, but a few little droplets will come over and you'll get like a shake or some type of bathing response. And I want you to jackpot that. And then I want you to spray again like that. Eventually you can kind of hold the treats and deliver the treats a little further over here so that the bird is actually walking into the spray itself instead of you bringing the spray to him. If the bird is walking into the spray versus you spraying him, you know at that point that he's choosing to engage with the water, which is super important. So I would try that. How do I get my green cheek conure to stop being obsessed with my feet? Socks and slippers are not working anymore. Distractions and redirections only work for a very short time. And I don't want to have to lock him in his cage unless that's what you think I need to do. I don't think you need to lock him in his cage, but every animal behavior works off of antecedent, behavior, and consequence. Antecedent is everything that happens so that the behavior can take place. It's the environment, it's the time of day, it's how motivated the bird is, it's what kind of birds you have, it's the things in the environment that are contributing to the behavior and allowing the behavior to happen. The behavior is biting and attacking feet, and the consequence is what happens after the behavior. What do you do with the bird, or what does the bird get out of the behavior that makes it more or less likely for that to happen again? If people are asking me, my bird is attacking, so what do I do? We're operating in this behavior consequence cycle, and that's really, really hard because birds find all sorts of things reinforcing. Like, a consequence doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could be something like the consequence of biting the feet is that its favorite person comes over and grabs him, and then it's actually like a reward that they bit the feet and got their favorite person. So you just never know if what you're doing is actually going to decrease or increase the likelihood of that behavior initially. I'd rather prevent the behavior from ever happening in the first place. So operating in the antecedent. So if the bird isn't on the ground, it can't do the behavior of biting the feet. If the bird is in the cage, it can't do the behavior of biting the feet. If the bird is actively engaged in a training session, not on the ground, and it's motivated enough because it, is fed the proper diet and has the proper treat motivation, then it will be engaged in that and not attacking the feet. So offer an incompatible behavior. Likely what this usually means, almost in every consult I talk about this, is restricting freedom initially and having very, very, very perfect interactions that don't allow the bird to practice that behavior. So it's going to be restricting the freedom of the bird, bringing the bird out quality over quantity of time, really focused interactions, putting the bird out before the behavior ever even happens so you don't have to operate in like whether or not the consequence you gave was going to stop or continue the behavior. Alrighty, what's my favorite food? Kind of depends on the day. I really like sushi. I like fish, but I love all kinds of food. So if anyone ever is in the area and wants to hang out and bring me food, I would love it. How long ago was it when you first began binge watching BirdTricks? I remember my first week, I put in overtime. LOL. That's funny. When did I start? I mean, it's been years. Gosh, I wish I should probably go back and like rewatch some of the really old stuff and like figure out when it was. It's been a long time. I really valued the way that they presented training in a sort of bite-sized approach for people that may not be animal trainers by profession or by background, but that they made it relatable. And it's definitely a resource that I would have absolutely binged when I was younger and I was very first getting into birds like a kid. And certainly as I grew up and got bigger and bigger parrots and more complex parrots and rescues and things like that, it would have been a really, really cool resource to have had at the time. And I think Jamie and Dave have done an incredible job growing this channel. Y'all show the community so much love. We have the Facebook Q&A page, which is also a really awesome resource. That would have been an amazing resource to have had early on when I was starting out. So yeah, no, I would need to go back and really find out, but years ago. And all of y'all obviously are along for the ride too, and we're really glad you are. Thanks for all your amazing questions. Keep them coming, and we'll chat soon.
Parrots are the third most popular pet in the entire world, yet the #1 most rehomed. If you're interested in learning how to help us in our mission of saving parrots one person at a time, consider joining us on Patreon, where you will get instant access to chatting with us live each and every month, asking us your unique questions, being part of the creation of our newest products and courses, and much more exclusive perks and content.